All right. All right. Eso. I am now in my light. Muy buenas tardes. Hello, everybody. Bienvenidos and welcome to Town Hall number 1, Igniting the Spark. So, to help us open the space and to open this session, it is my great pleasure to invite to the stage Dr. Manuel Moran, who is the founder of Teatro Sella, who is the CEO and artistic director of Teatro Sella. He's a very busy person. And is the board chair of the Clemente, where we are now. So, Dr. Moran.
Thank you. Way. Bienvenidos, welcome to the Clemente, welcome to the Flamboyant Theater. We're very excited that you're here. This is where it's supposed to happen. This is a Puerto Rican Latino multicultural center in your city. Four theaters. We have over 45 studios of artists in the building. 3 galleries and 13 nonprofits, and we're very happy and very proud to host you here today. And when Rosalba told me, where is Rosalba? Is she here? Hola, Rosalba. Beso. When Rosalba told me about the group and how exciting, she's excited about all of you guys, and I said we want to be part of that, and we want that to happen in the Clemente. So I'm very, very happy that you guys are here. I know you're full of energy. We're making a lot of progress, especially now. We need to be together, guys, more than ever. So I am very happy that this is happening here, that please count on us for future engagements and meetings and even regional meetings, or have us in mind. Teatro Sea, doors always be open. ¿Verdad que nuestros asientos son cómodos? Bueno, pues también lo pueden hacer. So, and I also want to invite you. First of all, I want you to know that Teatro Sea is the only Latino children's theater in the city, in the state, and we believe that it's the only permanent place dedicated to Latino children's theater in the country. So we do more than 200 performances a year. We reach to close to 100,000 kids and families, not only in the city, throughout the state, and also nationwide. And we would like you to be in touch with us too, if you're interested, or come and see what we do. We also do adult theater. Theater for adults, no adult theater. I would like to do some. No, I'm kidding. Theater for adults too, and we're going to be presenting this weekend La Gloria, a musical review who has been on stage for many months. We're very proud and very happy with that show. It's a collaboration with a group from Cuba, Teatro de las Estaciones, and it's about the life of Celia Cruz, Mirta Silva, and Daniel Santos, and La Sonora Matancera. It's a great cabaret. So tomorrow night and Sunday at 4 o'clock. It's part of your, you have it in your program. So if you want to come, please come and check us out. So thank you again. Bienvenidos y que siga la fiesta.
Muchísimas gracias. Thank you so much. So I'm going to give you a little rundown of what today looks like. We are going to be watching a special video. And after that, we have Dr. Maribel Alvarez, who is going to be sharing some thoughts with us. After that, we are going to invite some New York City theater artists to the stage. They know who they are, so it's not going to be a surprise. Don't worry, anybody. to speak about certain initiatives and thinking about igniting the spark. So part of the question and the thinking behind this is, what are the needs that we recognize in our community? What are the needs that we recognize in our work that we step up and do something about? Whether it is a big thing, such as a giant theater initiative, whether it is something small that might be, you know what, I'm going to cast differently. So thinking about initiatives, thinking about the spark, thinking about what needs do we individually see out there that we personally, with whatever capacity we have, could potentially help to address. So that's sort of our framework for today. So to get us going, I would love to invite up Emilia Cachapero from the Theater Communications Group. She is the Director of Artistic and International Programs, and she's gonna give us a little bit of information about this video, this very special video that we're going to be watching. All right, Emilia.
You could go around the side. Just a little mobility challenged right now. Hi, you all. Thank you so much for being so welcoming and just incredibly excited to share this sneak preview video with you. And on behalf of all of us at TCG, I'm not sure if Teresa Eyring is still here. She was in the morning session. Anamel Guevara is here somewhere, also from TCG. Beto, otherwise known as JP, also is here. All of us feel especially excited and proud to show this here. With great support from the Doris Duke Charitable Foundation in 2014, we began this video project partly because we looked at our landscape and the elders that are in our field and wanted to capture stories, capture the spark, capture the beginning. And these were particularly folks that founded our legacy theaters in the 60s and 70s. And we wanted to get that recorded. So that project has been completed. We're going to be launching the series in mid-December or so. I also wanted to give a shout out to another TCG colleague, Elena Chang, who's working with our Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion 6-point program, and she's really the point person for this video project. In mid-December, we're going to be beginning some community screenings showing these. It's especially, I can't even think of the word, enervating to show this here during the Latino Theater Commons, because there's so many of you that know Miriam Colon personally and have felt her luminescence and her spark and her inspiration. I know Miriam also, but I wish that I knew her younger self. And through this project, we were able to get all of those stories. Because there's a series, I also wanted to acknowledge the other leaders that we've got on the video project so you can get a sense of the scope. I just want to read their names because I don't want to forget anybody. The 9 leaders featured in the videos are Lou Bellamy at Penumbra Theater in St. Paul, Tisa Chang, Pan Asian Repertory Theater here in New York, Frank Chin, the Asian American Theater Company, San Francisco. Of course, Miriam Colon, the Puerto Rican Traveling Theater, New York. Woody King, the New Federal Theater, New York. Muriel Miguel, Spider-Woman Theater, New York. Jackie Taylor, the Black Ensemble Theater, Chicago. Luis Valdez, El Teatro Campesino, San Juan. And Douglas Turner Ward, the Negro Ensemble Company in New York. So please, hope you enjoy this, and we would love it if you have ideas about community screenings, and Elena is right here with us, so enjoy.
Thank you, Emilia. And here we go.
I like the idea that the cultural vehicles are also taken to the people that are less affluent, to the people that cannot afford a $50 ticket or a $75 ticket or a $125 ticket to see a play on Broadway. The mission of the theater, I feel, is so important, it's so sacred, it is so powerful, it can do so many things to open the conscience and to open the awareness of ourselves, our community, our fellow being. The formation of the Puerto Rican Traveling Theater had to do with a group of us. There was no Puerto Rican Traveling Theater then. There were not that many opportunities. There were not that many playwrights that were writing vehicles that could give opportunities to a person with my physical description. A group of us decided to put on a play off-Broadway called The Ox Cart. I was flabbergasted at how it described the plight of that Puerto Rican family. And I said, this is fantastic. This would be wonderful for New York, because it had not only the beauty of the play itself and the way it is structured, plus the fact that it represents one of the most distinguished playwrights, René Marquez. It really energized us to want to say, if they reacted this way to this play about a Puerto Rican family, and this is a play about immigrants, and this is a play about people struggling to survive, and this is with people that need help, this will be seen by people that are not Puerto Ricans or Latino. And that happened. From the very beginning, we stated that we wanted to be a bilingual theater. Among the classes that we decided to offer was the playwriting class. You have to teach the youngsters, or not so much youngsters, the young men and women, that you can write, and that ideally that should be written by you that have lived and tested what it is to survive in a ghetto or an economically limited neighborhood, because they talk with an authority and with a depth of knowledge that is basic for us to be able to convey the message. It is things like that that will make possible the survival of a real mixture of races and attitudes and points of views, which I think the theater can serve. We have to continue the education of the community and of the individuals, so that we have more people join in the task of making the arts available to everybody. In school, I became involved in little production. Some teacher presented a play. No person in my family ever was in the theater. When it came to an end, I was brokenhearted. I said, no, we're going to do it again, no? And the teacher was called Marcos Colon. No relation to me, a wonderful man. I didn't know what to do yet, and I was like so disappointed that it was over. And he said, why don't you write a letter to Mr. Lavandero? And I said, oh, can I? And he helped me to write a letter telling them that I would like to know if I could be given the permission to attend the acting classes. And I guess he was flabbergasted at the nerve of this little girl, you know. University of Puerto Rico had a traveling theater, and that's how I heard about the idea of a traveling theater. They gave me a role in it, and therefore I started going to the country, to the little towns, to the little plazas, to sleepy little towns. When I was old enough to enter the university as a full-time student, I had already gone through acting 1, acting 2, acting 3, acting 4 without the benefit of the credit, but with all the practice. Had it not been because of that, I don't know that I could have come to United States. I had no idea the immensity of the city or all the things that you have to take into consideration to survive in New York. One of the earliest experiences in New York was actually, it started in an off-Broadway play. Then there was a play called In the Summer House, and there was the role of a Mexican family in it, and I was submitted for the role of the girl in the family, and I got it. It was just the first contact with really the real world of the professional theater in New York City, and the level was staggering. You become scared to think that people can be that good. I didn't know what making the rounds was. I said, "Are you making the rounds?" The girls would ask me, "The rounds?" She says, "Yeah, you go around and around to see the agents and you leave your picture." It was difficult, very competitive. I mean, I was a recent arrival to New York, but also I did not have an immersion in the theater scene to know, what TDF is, what Department of Cultural Affairs is, what Harvard School is, anything like that. And but I would hear everybody in the school say, "So-and-so auditioned for the Actors Studio and they got in. Oh, and I am going to study. I am going to apply and I am going to do an audition." Everybody was nervous about the possibility that they were going to be auditioning for the Actors Studio. So I saw such reverence, such nervousness. I said, "And what is the Actors Studio? What is that?" And they explained to me that it was the most difficult place to enter, that the caliber of the students that were admitted was too much, that almost nobody could get in. I got in. I got in on the basis of the first audition. So it was not the champagne and the reviews and the party afterwards or anything like that. It was mostly the joy of being with very serious, very determined performers. We are going to be merging with a group called Pregones. Pregones is a Puerto Rican group, another Puerto Rican group, but they are in the Bronx. I know them for many years, and I've seen them emerge and how they were courageous, and they did not become afraid of the fact that they are in the South Bronx. They are a good example of a community-minded group, a group with roots in the community and with a pride and identification.
So many people come to Pregones and say, "I was just at the Puerto Rican Traveling Theater." So we thought of creating a concept that would keep people connected in their experience between the two theaters, one in Manhattan and one in the Bronx.
I guess it was the influence of the lovely things that I saw and that I participated in while I was a young actress, and we would get into a little sleepy town, and the dogs are barking, and they don't know what's going on, and all that noise coming over there, and the little band playing, and it was like a fiesta. Like the town would wake up, and the kids would come and they touch you. Why is it that they come and they touch? Is it, many of them, what they have been exposed to is the images on television and the image there. The idea of taking theater to the people who pay taxes, but they don't have the power to energize a company like that. It cannot all be, television again and the car wreck, the car chase and the killing and the this and the that. There's too much emphasis on that in exhibiting and repeating and repeating and repeating the gory and man's inhumanity to man. Maybe we have to slow down a little bit. You cannot keep regurgitating that and exhibiting it and memorizing it. It's frightening. You have to bring them earlier and make them become acquainted and have the knowledge and the awareness of the arts, of the theater, of poetry, of songs, of music, already part of their nature. See, if you wait till they are 18 or 20, I think it is too late.
Our companies are surrounded by young people, and they're going to be doing this. So we can make that impact across generations, across race and class. I think that we're doing something important.
Giving this to the children, presenting it to them for their examination and for their enjoyment, helping them discover the richness of their own culture, the richness of what our contribution is to society. When we are gone, that's all that stays. What you leave now, what you build now, what you do for those children now is the gift for them to continue and to have it and to learn to love it and to learn to respect it, etc. That's a lovely gift to live.
What I'd invite everybody to do now is to turn to someone near you and just have a conversation for a few minutes about what in that video felt inspiring to you. So turn to a partner and about 4 or 5 minutes. I'm going to pause your conversations. I'm going to pause your conversations just for a little bit. And I'm going to pause your conversations. So next, we have Dr. Maribel Alvarez. She is the Associate Professor of the School of Anthropology at the University of Arizona and the Executive Director of the Southwest Folklife Alliance, based in Tucson, Arizona. So it is my extreme pleasure and honor to introduce Dr. Maribel Alvarez.
Thank you very much. Such an honor, such a joy to be here with all of you. And you can see I brought my fan club. So we can have that. I've been asked by this wonderful group of friends and cultural workers to say a few things about demographics. And I was told to make some remarks to spark conversation and just leave some thoughts that will provoke the rest of your afternoon and the rest of your gathering. And it's great when friends ask you to offer provocations, because then I don't feel the pressure to be coherent in my every single thing that I have to say. So yeah, I'll talk a little bit about demographics. That seems like an interesting topic. I'm not a demographer. I'm a social scientist, a folklorist. But I study the demographics theme quite a bit. I find a lot of illumination in some of the data that other wonderful scholars are producing, Latino scholars, many of them. So I want to offer today 4 phrases or 4 ideas and thoughts and riff off them a little bit. The first one is, someday we'll live in the future. For almost 4 decades, since the 1980s, we've been drowning in metaphors about Latinos. Latinos, a sleeping giant, tectonic shift. I like that one. Tipping point, collision. We're in a collision, demographic, the tsunami that is coming. And more recently, the firewall. Latinos were supposed to provide the demographic firewall in American elections forever. And scholars like Juan Flores, for example, has been warning us for some time that there was something a little dangerous about this discourse, that there was perhaps, in his words, a false quantitative objectivity attached to this fact of the demographic explosion of Latinos, and that perhaps that objectivity, so quantifiable, was hiding some other elements that were more important for our project as a community, which had to do with the imaginary, the interpretation of those facts to really help us construct a sense of utopia in this nation. Scholar and colleague at Santa Cruz, UC Santa Cruz, Kirsten Silva Gretz, wrote a few years ago an essay. She's a literary scholar, but had sort of an observation of interest that she called it, that she found disturbing the persistent discourse of futurity in demographic discussions about Latinos, suggesting that there's always a different moment than this one, that something is going to come in the future that is not now, but it's going to come and it's going to be really good for us. And she spoke about how for a long time a lot of our scholarship, our cultural works has been leading us to scrutinize what she called the arcane signs of the present in hopes that they might reveal themselves as crucial turning points. Gregory Rodriguez, journalist, also began to anticipate some of what 2016 would be all about when he said that the real radical change that he observed in America was the changing, what he called the white incipient minority status. That probably was not going to be very good. And of course, other people joined in that conversation. This is not of the last 2 months or 2 weeks. This has been going on for some time, talking about white fragility or the sense of white victimhood. And so a lot of people watching the debates on Latino demographics have been for some time a little concerned that we may be missing something by celebrating so much the great explosion of our population. While at the same time we knew that that represented in some other ways some sort of currency for the presence and the abundance of Latino. But frankly, the people who mostly benefited from that currency were the companies, the advertisers, the marketplace, which began to then identify Latinos as a consumer group primarily. That discourse of futurity led us, as we now know, to some false comforts. Not so much us, but a lot of people in the Democratic Party. There was a sense of complacency and in some instances even gloating that in that gesture of the demographic triumphalism, there would be somehow some inherent protection that Latinos will provide to the evils that were lurking around the nation. And in doing that, we miss, and there was a big miss, some essential authentic truth about the fact of Latinos and how we came to be who we are. Because the fact is that even in that demographic sea, our safety was never safe, and our sense of belonging in the nation was never comfortably accepted. So Junot Diaz, as you know, may have read, wrote in the New Yorker a little bit after the Trump election, and he said it in some of the amazing, legendary, eloquent prose that won him the Pulitzer Prize. He wrote, "We always knew this shit wasn't going to be easy." And that was perhaps the statement that then jolted us back to recognize that, yes, someday we'll live in the future, but the future is now here. It wasn't all that smooth, right? There was no firewall because other things were happening simultaneously. And then Junot Diaz also jolted us back in that same essay to another more poetic realization when he said that only radical hope is what will save us, because only radical hope could have imagined people like us into existence to begin with. So that's my first phrase, el primer refrán. Number 2, demography is not destiny. So recognizing that Latino demographics is not a pill that you take and go to sleep, despite the shock of the moment that we're living after the election, the Latino firewall effectively not stopping Trump, and I'll explain why. Some facts are still worth considering, but they are nuanced facts. And as I was talking earlier with Chantal and Paul Flores, it's a time, this not exactly a time when nuance is highly valued, but our story has always been very nuanced, if you think about it. So there were a lot of positive things that actually did happen in this election as far as the Latino vote is concerned. One of the things that we cannot help to notice as we look at these facts or factoids is to think, what are we going to do with this kind of information now? Let's focus for a moment just on youth. The Latinos in the United States are still the youngest major racial and ethnic group in the United States. Of all the groups that are counted by the census, Latinos are the youngest. 6 in 10 Latinos are millennials, or younger, that is, younger than 33 years old. Of all the millennials in the United States, Latinos represent 21% of all the millennials. The median age of Latino, median, meaning 50% can either go either way, the median age is 28 years old. So the median age is 28. For the white population, the median age is 43. For Asian Americans, it's 36. For African Americans, it's 33. So we are the youngest. And 44% of the Latinos eligible to vote in 2016 were millennials. Of that group of millions of Latinos who were eligible to vote, 44% were millennials. It's a greater share of young voters than any other racial group has ever had, ever. But here's the thing, the nuance where it comes. 64% of those millennials Latinos that were interviewed said that they back Hillary Clinton less as a support for her than as a vote against Trump. And that's where it starts to get complicated, right? Because we had the numbers and we have the possibility of changing that, but it wasn't only that there were Latinos voting, it was who they were voting for and under what conditions. And that gets nuanced because we have been taken for granted as a voting bloc. We were taken for granted that the fact is, since 1980, Latinos have always voted Democrat in the majority. This has never been challenged, and this wasn't challenged in this election either. So that's where the complacency and the take it for granted happen. Are Latinos to blame then? Some people are writing blogs and things about with this headline. I roll my eyes because obviously that's sort of silly. First of all, because for us as Latinos to talk about social change, to be agents of social change, we would first have to remember that electoral politics is only one venue through which we express our identity and our power. So for us to even put all of our eggs on the basket of the election as the measure of Latino power and Latino contribution to this country is a little bit silly, because that's never been the only vehicle of change for us. And there is a lot of finger pointing going around about what happens and who to blame. And believe me, people are choosing the pulpit that feels more comfortable to them. But I started to compile from my friends on Facebook and readings a list of factors that could account for the success of Donald Trump in this election. And I'm up to 33 points now that people have given me. 33 different factors, all of which could have come together in some way to have an impact. The fact is, a lot was done. Latinos did turn out to vote. There was a veritable Latino surge. Latinos voted early. That was not a mistake. In fact, in states like Colorado and Nevada, the Latino vote is being credited for keeping those states blue, and not only that, but sending senators that could oppose the president-elect. In Texas, something interesting happened. Trump won Texas by 9 points only. Obama, by the way, lost it by 16. So there was a little bit of a narrowing there, and it's also credited to Latino voting. So 20% of the 2016 Latino voters were first-time voters, 20%. And even though there's a lot of the favorite activity among many critics is to blame the Cubans in Miami for being not good Latinos and causing Trump to win Florida. The fact of the matter is that the Cuban vote for Trump was 52% and 47% was not for Trump. So I feel, you can imagine how that 47% feels and has to deal with their own families. So it wasn't just, this overwhelming, that changed. And in fact, Cubans in Miami-Dade County had voted on a majority for Obama before. So that, but a lot of those things were so tenuous, and they were just so sort of a signal in a demographic sort of discourse that it was really hard to place them as in what permanence these things will have. As a matter of fact, Latinos favor Hillary Clinton better than 2-1 in their voting. And the accepted numbers, I say accepted now because Latino Decisions, the group run by two Latino academics, are challenging that because these are based on exit polls, is that Hillary secured 66% of the Latino vote and Trump 28%. But compare that with African Americans that voted for Hillary Clinton, 88%, and 66% for Latinos. So there was a gap there in our community. But the vote that Trump got from Latinos is very much equivalent to the same one he received, McCain received, and Romney 27%, and McCain had received 31% of Latinos vote. So, but it was very different from Obama. Obama had received 71%. So the 71% that voted for Obama, 66, could have made a difference, but here's the thing. The difference would have been tenuous because Latinos overall represent 11% of the registered voters in the United States, and 52% of all the Latino eligible voters live in non-battleground states. In other words, in the electoral college system, it wouldn't have made any difference. In a popular vote, it would. For example, a surge of Latino voters in California, sure, went up, but it was already a blue state. And it's in the electoral college, that wouldn't have made a big difference. In all the other battleground states, Latinos account for less than 5% of the eligible voters. In some instances, in the Rust Belt, from 1 to 2%. So there was very little that the sleeping giant could have done in some of those places. Even if Hillary Clinton had won Arizona and Florida, which were the two states in play that could have had Latino make a difference, she still would have been short of the votes in the Electoral College, even winning Florida and Arizona. But a lot of things still were happening and churning at the base. For example, what we ended up knowing is that Trump gained more by mobilizing white voters than he lost by alienating Latinos. That's the truth, that's the reality we're facing. So really the search on white voters, the toxic cocktail of anti-elitism, anti-intellectualism, and then blaming of minorities and hatred, that cocktail, toxic as it was, provided a surge against which, even with the great demographics of Latinos and the participation, could not have quite tip the other way. Now, let's talk about complexity. Our complexity will grow more complex. Yeah, I know, just you have to get a PhD sometime to think these deep thoughts. Part of the complexity has to do with the fact that whether it was whites or Latinos, everybody underestimated the depth of the pain, the anger, and the rejection of the policies of neoliberalism that had been embodied and represented by Hillary Clinton, and that had been carried on with, I say this with great pain in my heart, by Obama. This populist danger precisely has always sort of hinged on the ability to turn against the elites and against the minority. So it's a rejection that goes upwards and downwards, right? Blames the minorities and also rejects the elites. And you know what happens with that? Why is that so dangerous? Because it leaves that center of civic society in the middle completely without oxygen, right? because that's where the danger zone is. It's like it's a game of a populist demagogue, and it works. It worked. The complexity also gets more complex when we sort of like turn off the cameras and talk among ourselves as Latinos and now say, okay, well, let's now do the family secret sort of session. Yes, we all know that Latino is not a monolith, but we also have to recognize that there was a lot of dissatisfaction among Latinos with the way that the Obama administration had been carrying out politics regarding immigration and other things. Now, we can argue forever about whether that was President Obama's fault or not, or whether he was handicapped. We can just, I'm fine with those discourses, but the fact is that there was a lot of indication that people were not happy. For example, an NBC exit poll, again, this goes into the category called family secrets. Don't tell anybody this. But NBC exit poll revealed that 68% of Latino voters oppose building a wall with Mexico. 68% of Latino voters opposed it. Only 46% of whites opposed it. You think, oh, well, of course, the majority of whites favor building the wall. The majority of Latinos oppose building the wall. But guess what? 82% of blacks oppose building the wall. Yeah, right? 82% of blacks oppose building the walls, and 68% of Latinos opposed it. So our communities are always being fractured by issues of race, color, class, status, immigration status, and these things. You know, I'm from Arizona, I know this very well. In today's New Yorker edition online, Chimamanda Adichie reminds us of something that becomes helpful. She says, now is the time to elevate the art of questioning. Is the only valid resentment in America that of white males? Are we going to be conformists? Are we going to be okay with saying that the only resentment of people who are hurting, who are in pain, who didn't have a solution, who didn't see, are white males who turn to their racist comfort to this? That would be too simple. If we accept the premise, she says, that economic anxiety afflicted the white voter in rural America, then we must accept that economic anxiety is also affecting our communities. There was a survey that said that before the election, 63% of US-born Latinos expressed that they were very dissatisfied with the direction that the country was going. And the reason for that is because of the growing levels of inequality, right? That people were really hurting was not just something that manifested itself in the racial narrative that we are given through the media and the social media. So as Latinos grow and become this demographic group of power, there are tendencies that crisscross race, class, gender, sexuality that we're going to have to be speaking and checking and monitoring. And these tendencies and divisions in our own internal communities will grow more complex and will intensify. Latino identity as a fixed positionality against oppression is a shaky proposition insofar as the demographic captures only one very fraught element of who we are, which is just the box that we check in our identity. For things to change, we will have to do more than just abide by that sort of fictive sense of kinship that makes us feel like we are Latinos. And we are changing even more. For example, 26% of all second-generation Latinos marry someone who is of a different ethnicity. And you know that, right? That we are the group that marries the most outside of Latino ethnicity. So putting our hope in this tsunami, in this firewall, was always very misleading. Now, that doesn't mean that the information is not important. We study, we meditate. I was having dinner last night. Here we go to the fourth phrase, that last one. I was having dinner last night with my good friend Arnaldo Lopez Pregones. And as we were sitting for dinner, he pulls out of his bag something and he says, I have a gift for you. Tengo un regalito. And then he pulled a little notebook, a little book that he had gone to a book fair and had sort of some folks here in Brooklyn have their own independent press and have just published this chapbook and has a story. And he started to tell me about the writer and why he thought this would be such a, and I grabbed the book and I said, oh my God, this is what it is about. It reminded me about the stories about Alurista before there were PhDs in Chicano studies, how he would just write and circulate poems in pieces of paper that were mimeographed, right? And they would just, people start sharing, and there were no publishing houses, and there were no jobs for Chicano Latino academics. There were circulation of small gifts, right, of poetry. And I think that in the moments that we are, given the monumentality of the demographic tsunami and the firewalls that fail and the monumentality of the challenges ahead, perhaps it is time to get back to basics. Diaz also in that awesome piece said, we should avail ourselves of the old formats, or the old formations, he called it, that have seen us through darkness before. And what that means for me is to organize, to form solidarity with other people, is to form study groups, to go back to some of the basic texts that gives us a basis to understand our reality. A lot of the movimiento artistas were people who were creating art but also studying the text, trying to get into this sort of space where we really invade the intellectual discourse of the country. So it's time to go back to study groups, conversation formats, open-ended kind of artworks that let people sort of express and talk back. We are going to have to listen a lot more. We're going to have to restructure. And more than anything, like that gesture that touched me so deeply last night in conversation with a friend, we're going to need to be more generous with each other in sharing that information and how we support it. And I think these are the 4 provocations. I hope that they inspire you to talk a lot about what do we do? And how do we parse the information that is given even about us as a group, as Latinos? What do we do with that? And it's not that we're going to now disown the demographers among us, but we do need to say, what does that mean for my work? If that is true, because other people are using that information and very effectively. So thank you very much for having me.
Dr. Maribel Alvarez. I want to give you a few minutes to parse that. So we got a little call, like, how do we parse that? How do we, as sitting here in this room, living today in this country, how do we, what can we do with this information that we got? So I would like to give everyone, turn to a partner, turn to someone near you. Let's take 5 minutes and just chat it out. Let's bring you up. Yeah, we're going to set the chairs up, and then we'll bring you up. pass both. Here. Oh, this is nice. How about right there? It's great. I'm going to pause your conversations again. Okay, one more minute, one more minute. And 30 seconds to wrap up conversations. Just pause them. Yeah. So you should use them. This second? Okay, no. Okay, we're going to pause your conversations. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. So thinking, we heard impact from the Latinx, Latina, Latino, Latinx community, impact in a very different, in a different lens. And thinking about impact, thinking about need, thinking about what is a step that we take to address a need, and where is that, the choices that we make, what sparks us? What is it that is the initial spark or catalyst that causes us to act? So we have some New York theater, New York Latinx theater folk here. And I'm gonna just, I'm just gonna pass down the mic, and you got one down on your end too. And just go ahead and just, for right now, just introduce yourself and any affiliations you have.
Hello, my name is Oscar Cabrera, and I'm part of INTAR's Unit 52.
Hi, I'm Lou Moreno. I'm the artistic director of INTAR Theater.
Hi, I'm Estefania Fadul, and I'm here to talk about the Van Leer Fellowship at Repertorio Español.
Alison Astor Vargas, Special Projects Manager and Education at Repertorio Español.
Hi, I'm Beto. I am the co-founder of Radical Evolution Producing Collective and a co-founding coordinating team member of La Cooperativa of New York City Latinx Theater Artists.
And I'm Kristen Eve Cato, also a member of Unit 52 at INTAR Theater, also a founding member of La COA, and independent artist, and I just founded my own production company, Cabling Productions.
Great, thank you, thank you. All right, Lou, we're gonna start with you. I would love for you just to tell us a little bit about Unit 52, like how it came about, what was the need, what sparked it, and just a little bit of, just about the program itself.
For those of you that don't know, Unit 52 is a 12-week training program at INTAR Theater. We bring 12 new to New York. We call them new to New York because we're not trying to be ageist. Whether you're 18 or 58 or 48, you should be able to apply to the unit. It is for free, and what we do is we bring artists, young artists or new New York artists, into the theater to work with historical INTAR artists, such as Daniel Jaquez, who began the program with me 4 years ago. Other teaching artists have been Daniela Rizari, Julian Mestre, who I see in the back, myself, and of course David Anzuelo, Maggie Bofil, Mariana Carreño, thank you. Is that enough? Oh, okay. In that case.
Doing great.
The idea came when I took over the theater in 2010. I would host the Equity EPA auditions, the Equity Principal Actor auditions, which was really fantastic. We'd put out, we need these Latino actors to come and audition for us, and we would give them, we would ask them to prepare auditions by Migdalia Cruz, Claritas Fitch, Jose Rivera, Irene Fornez, and they were then told, well, they'll never find these writers. So tell them to go to the fucking library. Anyway, so what would happen was all of these very fine actors would show up at INTAR, and I would say a vast majority of them were not Latino, but they looked enough that they thought that they should work at our theater, which was interesting. And they would wind up clogging up the halls so that none of the Latinos that were members of the union could get in. They couldn't, so we'd only get to see a few of them. And then there would be this really amazing group of non-union members that were standing in the background, and I'm like, I want to know those guys. They were like kind of crazy. They had very few of them had real acting training. They hadn't really gone to school, or gone to like a conservatory acting school, and they hadn't joined the union yet. But they knew about INTAR, and they wanted to find out what they could do to get into the show. So we had a secondary audition the next day, and we said, all the non-union people, please come back tomorrow, and it was big. And we tried to figure out what the hell we were going to do with them, and there was like various iterations of what eventually became the unit earlier on. And then I sat down with Danielle. I feel like Danielle was right here. Is he not here anymore? Oh, there he is, Daniel Jaquez. And I said, so how do we do this? And he said, well, we'll do a 12-week course, or an 8-week, we went back and forth about what it was going to be. And we spent 4 hours, 1 day a week. The first, and we break it up. I'm going to very briefly say what it is. First hour is sort of a warm-up, get rid of the week kind of hour. The second 2 to 2.5 hours is dedicated on performance, or depending on the artist that we bring in for that week. If it's a writing workshop, like we brought in Stephen Girgis to do a writing workshop one time. And then the end of the evening is usually a check back in, where you kind of like look at your fellow Unit 52 and you're like, I had this really great audition this week. Did you guys hear about it? You should go and check it out. I know they're casting this thing. Or did you guys hear about it? We try to keep the information passing. It's not a bitch session. It's more of a like, it's just a place to kind of check in. What's going on in the world? Hey, I heard this. The LTC's coming to New York. Like that kind of thing. Make sure everybody's a part of it. That's it. Is that enough? Yeah. Okay.
Actually, I do have one more question. And can you talk about the relation between Unit 52 and the New Works Lab?
Yeah. We have what we call the New Works Lab. A very quick definition of what the New Works Lab is. It's basically INTAR's second stage. It's a place where we can look at a play over a short but rather intensive period of time and not expose the artist to any kind of critical form. So we basically give the artist the keys to the theater and say, come out in 3 weeks and let's see what you got. It's been really successful. It was started over 16 or 17 years ago by Michael John Garces, who happens to be a very good friend of mine and sits on our board as well. And what we decided to do was take that program, that second stage, and dedicate one of those a year to the unit. So one of the things you do while you get to come to the unit and get trained or add to your training, we also then dedicate a small stipend performance to you as well. We've done, thank you. The New Works Lab has been a huge, Daniel Hawkes ran the New Works Lab for a brief moment. Am I wrong? 3 years. Michael John Garces. It was also run by Alex Lopez and Angel David. If anybody knows where he is, please let me know. Did I answer the question?
Great, thank you. Okay, now I'm going to turn to Oscar, a member of Unit 52. Can you just talk a little bit about, there he is, getting his INTAR muscles going. Can you just talk a little bit about thinking of like, here is a need. There was a need that was seen. We don't know who these actors are. We don't have a way to reach out. Let's bring them in. So you are one of those actors. Just what has being a part of that done for you?
Well, for me, I was sold on the idea like this. You mean I get to work with a Latina playwright, director, working on new work that would be something that I could have my voice in, and I would get paid for it. Sign me up. I was ready. I found out about Unit 52 by doing the 1 Minute Play Festival at INTAR. That's actually about to go on this weekend.
In your program?
Yeah, check it out. It's a really crazy story how I even got to it. I did a short film that turned into a feature film that was ridiculous. My co-actor tried to get me to do a casting director thing to assist with it, and I met one of the actors that was going to be in the 1 Minute Play Festival, and he was like, yo, you would be perfect for the 1 Minute Play Festival, for INTAR. And I gave him my email, and the week later, I was rehearsing and practicing, and we went up, and then Lou came out and said, we're gonna do this thing called Unit 52, where we're gonna give voice to young, not so established artists to grow. And for me, over the past 4 years, we're going into our 5th year, I feel like I've gotten a chance to blossom as an artist in many different ways. I've really strengthened my voice as an activist, something I'm really, really passionate about, and only a few of my friends really know, some that are like my brothers, about how argumentative I am. And it comes out of just this sense of wanting to be heard and wanting to make a difference. And INTAR has really, Unit 52 has really given me that through multiple ways, through the New Works Lab, where I've been able to develop my own characters in these plays where we use ensemble and devised work with directors that I had probably only met at that point in time, with playwrights that, even though I went to a 4-year university, maybe hadn't heard of yet. And establishing those relationships and connecting me to them so that as the years go by, I get to see them and go, hey, remember that show we did? Yeah, one really cool thing was one of my dear friends, Octavio Solis, who has a connection to the school I went to. I got to work on a couple of his plays. And what a cool feeling for me to be in New York and to be sitting at a bar, looking over next to him and having a conversation. And then, that kind of moment is the thing I'm going to cherish the most. And INTAR has definitely given me that.
So I'm going to ask you a question about that. Because I don't know, I'm guessing, somewhere in the timeline of your career with Unit 52, or you're part of Unit 52, you wrote a play. This play was in a festival in Texas. You and Lou went there to work on it. We won't get into details. What is in Texas stays in Texas. We all know that. But I'm curious just to hear, like, we've heard about you as an actor, and this is like you as a person, as a fuller artist, in the larger sense as well.
Again, as strengthening my voice as an artist, I had a play inside of me. I had something I wanted to say, and I just needed the nudge to get out and do it and complete it. And this play is something very near and dear to me. My brother is autistic, and I am from Texas, and he also suffers, he has medical complications, and Texas really isn't that great on taking care of people with disabilities, something I'm very passionate about telling. So I wrote a play about autism where, as a viewer, you could look at it and see these aspects, these autistic tendencies, and you go, oh, I've kind of felt like that before. And suddenly the bridge between being normal and having a disability is a little bit shortened. As a playwright for Unit 52 and the opportunities that I've had, I've been able to voice that a lot more efficiently. And yeah, we went down to Texas State for the Black and Latino Playwrights Festival, which has been going on for, I believe, 17 years, 18 years this year. Yeah, and it's been going on, giving voice to people of color, people, and yeah, it's something very special to me.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah. So now we're going to turn to Repertorio Español, and maybe we can pass the mic to Allison. Allison, just tell us a little bit about Nuestras Voces and about the Van Leer Directing Fellowship that is happening there.
Okay, I'll start with Nuestras Voces, our national playwriting competition. It's going into its 18th year, funded by MetLife. It actually started from another program that we had, 3 productions called Voces Nuevas. Very similar, but it was 3 plays, Nuyorican plays by Nuyorican writers. They were La Gringa from Carmen Rivera, which it just celebrated its 20th anniversary. La Barbería by Cándido Tirado, and El Cano from Luis Delgado. And it was wildly successful. And it was the first time they did work, contemporary work that had a specific theme, Nuyorican plays. So we thought, how can we expand this? At the time, we were talking to MetLife about who we were and what we did, and they wanted to fund a playwriting competition. So that was our in, and we decided it's a national initiative, and we could it has to be specific to the Hispanic Latino experience in the United States. We're looking for Latino playwrights, but it is open to anyone who's writing authentic stories, authentic characters, themes and subjects that are interest to the Latino community. I can't tell you over the years how many phone calls I've had from playwrights who say, well, I can change the names to Maria or Jose. That's not what we're looking for. So, you know, the first winners were in the year 2000. We usually receive about 75 to 100, 110 scripts a year from all over the country. And at first, it was really hard because we didn't have email in those days, so I had to fax all the information to everywhere. Universities, other theater companies that had Latino/Hispanic missions. Now it's a lot easier, everything's electronic, and I'm so glad that, you know, we're seeing so many plays, not just from New York, the tri-state area, not just Florida, Texas, California, but we're seeing plays come in from Latinos in Washington State, Wisconsin, Arkansas, which was a little bit of a surprise, but you know, it's expanded. And I think over the course of the 18 years, we've had 18 productions because we gave 2 full productions to plays that didn't win. That's the grand prize, a full production and $3,000. But there were 2 plays that the executive producer felt really embodied Latino experience, angst. One was called San Juan Shakespeare Company by Eugene Rodriguez, and it was about a Latino theater company. And all the, during the course of the play, they all auditioned for Law and Order as, you know, prostitutes, drug dealers, but they had a theater company and they can do Shakespeare. So we were proud to do that play. But anyway, the point is we've had over 100 readings. There's cash prizes, which we thought was very important because we wanted to expose these plays to mainstream theater. And also we had a staged readings for the finalists so that they get to work on it and develop it as well.
Thank you, thank you. And Estefania? Oh, I'm sorry. Tell us about the Van Leer Directing Fellowship.
Okay, yes, Van Leer. It's an initiative through the New York Community Trust, and we were at a point where we needed to look at the future of the company and find directors who can work in the Spanish language. So we, in the early 2000s, we had a couple of grants that were accepted, and we were able to put together a fellowship program. And what it was is we would give the first professional credit to Latino directors working in Spanish. And we were crazy because we gave it to 10 directors, which is great, but we were doing like a play a week in the summer, like 5 this summer and then 5 next summer. And we found, you know, a lot of great artists, a lot of great work, but that was just crazy. From that generation of directors, we found Jose Sayas, who is now our back at Repertorio in the spring, I believe. As we went on, we figured out, I think we evolved and we figured out how to do it real well. It is now a 2-year fellowship. We give it to 3 directors or 4 because we always want to give that opportunity. The first year they direct a contemporary play. It could be a translation of an American play or a play from Latin America or Spain. The second year they have to do a Siglo de Oro play, which is really hard. Each director gets a very small budget, and they have to be the producer as well. Not fun, but very useful. And they've introduced a lot of great work to us that maybe Repertorio as a company itself would not go out and produce. And also, we just wanted to give young people an opportunity, young Latinos, to direct, to bump up their artistry, an opportunity. You know, maybe a lot of them had just graduated from college or they were a few years out of college. And we wanted to be the catalyst for that, to make that happen.
Thank you so much. All right, Estefania, tell us, as a Van Leer Directing Fellow, tell us a little bit about how that has helped you develop as an artist.
Yeah, so I was a Van Leer Fellow from 2014 to 2015, which meant that in the summer of 2014, I was doing the contemporary play, like Allison said. And in the summer of 2015, I did a Siglo de Oro, Golden Age classical Spanish play. I think I applied in 2014, and I was very intimidated by the fact that, so you had to propose the 2 plays that you wanted to direct, and proposing a Golden Age play in Spanish was incredibly intimidating to me. And I just want to say to anyone out there who might think of applying, don't let it intimidate you. We all 3 directors who were in the program, we all got through it. It was, I think the language part of it was scary at first, to tackle something that was that old when maybe we didn't feel so confident in the language, but it was an amazing experience to tackle something totally different. So the first play I did was the Spanish translation of Sogo, the Ghost of Mexico, Part 1 by Matthew Paul Olmos, translated by Bernardo Cubria. And that was an amazing opportunity to the great thing about the fellowship is that you can really propose anything you want to direct, as long as it fits within the era that it needs to be in. So I got to work with some incredible actors. I really hadn't worked within the Latinx theater community before. So this was kind of my first introduction to this amazing community that I'm so lucky to be part of. Actually, a lot of our actors came from Unit 52, which was an incredible resource. And also for my second year, a lot of them also came out of there. And the second year, I did El Laurel de Apolo, which was a zarzuela, a musical by Pedro Calderón de la Barca. And that was something I'd never directed a musical before, and I was scared about the Golden Age part of it, and this was just a great opportunity to do it in my own way and work with a composer for the first time, work with a choreographer for the first time, and really as a director get to try things that I hadn't been given a platform to try before. And I think even out of all the directing fellowships I know, this is the only one I've been part of where they literally give you money, give you a venue, give you rehearsal space, and just say, like, go, do it. Do whatever you want. And so that's, as a director, that was an amazing opportunity to grow and learn.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So let's pass the mic to Beto O'Byrne. And can you just give us a little context on La Co-op?
Sure. First thing I want to do is just I see a bunch of the coordinating team here in the crowd. And so if you're on the coordinating team for La Co-op, could you just stand up really quickly? Could you just stand up? So Daniela, so like past members like Hyung and Claudia here too, Yadira, and Kristen and myself. So that's not really to recognize us, but I think the most important thing for me to do is because we're a non-hierarchical group, we don't really have a leader, we like lead together as a group. And so we were asked to speak kind of on behalf of La Co-op. I just wanted you to recognize there's others. Also, another thing that's important to know is if you ask individual members of the coordinating team what La Co-op is, they're probably going to give you slightly different answers to that question. So I'm going to give you how I perceive it and how I use it, and kind of give you some context, and then Kristen will give you some context too. So La Co-op really came out of and really started right around the time of the LA Encuentro. And a group of us who are individual artists here living in New York.
And the LA Encuentro was in 2014, the fall of 2014.
Really started thinking about like that moment in time, and that moment in time is really a catalyst for our field and our community, and wanting New York to step into that arena. And we really started thinking about it, and now I'm just thinking back at what Maribel was saying. I think that at the end, like getting back to basics, the idea of gathering is really at the heart of like what La Co-op does. The first thing we did was really started thinking about like who all is in our community, and those kind of original like 6 to 7 to 8 members of us just like started a Google Doc of like names and emails. And within, I think it was just like a couple of days, we had like over 350 names of individual artists that live here in New York. And that was a really powerful moment for us to just like see those names and like recognize how many of us there are here, but also to recognize like how very seldomly those people come together. And really wanting to say like that is something that LaCoop wants to do. We want to organize ourselves, we want to organize our community, bring us together. It's kind of often thought of as like, you know, like different individual artists kind of operate outside of different institutions, and wanting to kind of break down that idea too. And also to be able to say that like artists who maybe find their artistic home at certain organizations should also be going to these other organizations and supporting that work as well. And so like that's another kind of element of what LaCoop is. We just recently kind of put together our new like action plan, and I'm not gonna bore you all with all of it, but I'm just gonna read you just a couple of, we have like basically 3 main points that we're attempting to achieve here in the future. And the first one is community organizing. LaCoop's going to host events that will facilitate community building, networking, and unification of the Latinx theater community in New York City. In the spirit of our Celebrate event, which some of you may have come to in the winter of 2014?
2014.
Yeah, 2014. Events, social gatherings with community building components. These events serve as a critical component to one of our most pressing needs, to interact, network, and come together as one unified Latinx theater community. The second is arts journalism. We want to really explore the possibilities of developing a pool of journalists that will work with LaCoop to provide quality journalism for Latinx works, particularly those that are underrepresented, misrepresented by larger institutions, and greater access to our work, both here in the city and across the country. And that was a need that came out of a lot of conversations with individual artists in the community, really feeling like arts journalism is not hitting our community well, not just in reviews, but in access and just knowledge of what we do, and also on how we do it. And I think all of us can probably give plenty of examples of when that's happened. The third one is just straight up activism, to partner both with arts allies across the country and support their work, and non-arts allies to end systemic white supremacy in the field of arts and culture, primarily within the field of the greater New York City theater community. And we've done a little bit of work towards that already. We stood in allyship with the Latino theater community in Chicago this last year when Porchlight Music Theater had that moment in time, if we can say that. But LaCoop really felt compelled to like stand with Chicago in that moment and really say something. And you know, we drafted a letter, we sent it to Porchlight, we published it, we showed it to our community to attempt to create accountability. So those are our main 3 platforms. There's about 6 members of the coordinating team right now. Our goal in the next like 3 months is to go from 6 coordinating team members to 15 coordinating members. We just happen to have a cafecito coming up right after this, if you're very interested in joining us. It's gonna be really exciting, and it's a really fun thing, and I really think that when we gather, we're powerful, and we can sell out houses. Like, I think that's like a really exciting thing to think about, is our community going and just like taking over a house, and that's really cool. Kristen, you wanna add anything?
You said a lot of things. But I think if I'm gonna add anything, it's really, I mean, to go back to that original question, like what ignited the spark, right? You know, just, I'm from New York City, born and raised, and when I started becoming more just involved in the theater community, there's something happening in New York within Latinos that is always happening. There's always a sense of like competition, right? We're all competing. We all want a bite of the apple. The actors are competing for the only like 5 roles for us out there. Playwrights are competing so they can be like that Latino play in someone's season. Theaters are competing for audience in their seats, and like companies and organizations are competing for resources. And so it's like, how do we stop competing? And that's by pooling our resources. That's by working together. That's by going to each other's shows. That's why I'm promoting each other's shows, writing those letters when we see a white actor, play Uznavi in the Heights. It's, like writing that letter and saying, hey, that's not fair. And like, reclaiming our power back. And also, not just reclaiming our power, but also protecting ourselves and protecting our work and protecting our identities and finding out what that is, because so many things in our history we've been so detached and then reattached and then broken and then re-sewn. And so it's like the only way we're really gonna find that identity again is by joining together, by forming together, by having these conversations, but then not just having the conversations, actually doing it. And so that activism aspect that we drafted is important. So everyone who wants to be involved, everyone who wants to join, come, because our arms are open and we need to revolutionize. We need to become autonomous. We need, the Latino theater community is a little segregated right now, and that needs to stop. And that's why, we got LACOAP going on. So everybody's welcome.
Thank you, thank you.
Sound
Let's
off.
give a hand to, a thank you to all of our folks here. So once again, I'm going to ask you to turn to somebody near you. It can be the same person and you can continue a conversation you've been having. It can be a totally new person and a totally new conversation. But there's a couple of things I want you to think about. One, anything out of any of these initiatives that felt like, oh yeah, that's resonating with me. Number two, thinking of a very specific time when you, as a maker or a friend of theater, have had an impact. An impact can be big, impact can be small. However you define impact, I would love you to think about that moment and share that moment with somebody. So I'm gonna give everyone about 5 minutes, about 5 minutes to chat. Here you go. Thank you. And one more minute, one more minute. And 30 seconds. And I'm going to ask you to pause your conversations again. Going to pause your conversations. And I want to bring these smaller conversations into the larger group. So now it's going to be a little bit of hearing just little snapshots of those conversations. We'll get you, yeah. Okay. So I'm going to ask for if there is someone that can share out a word that stood out to them, a word or a thought or just really brief, but a word that stood out to you from any conversation that you had or anything that you heard. So give me a word. Generosity. Passion. Legacy. Joy. Hope. Persistence. United. Complexity. Back to basics. Youth. Study group. Sorry. Medium Colon, and there was one over here, cultural fusion? Autonomy. Something that stood out to you, that's resonating you from either something that you heard or something that you feel about the day. Single words. Or radical hope will save us. Pooling resources. I got in. Medium Colon. I got in. 88%. Sharing and giving up power. There was something over here. Millennials. Back to basics. More pie. Revolution. Our arms are open. Join us. Know your power and your privilege. We are segregated. Experience our culture. Experience our culture. The percentage of the percentage of the, you got it. You got it. Any other thoughts? Drowning in metaphors. Nuance. More pie. Not just pie, more pie. Sorry, say one more time. Working in isolation isn't sustainable. Over here. Power to the people. Protecting our sacred spaces. Make more pie. We always knew this shit wasn't going to be easy. Mm-hmm. We cannot stay complacent. Create the informal authority for change. More than ever. Can I ever retire? Oh, a lot of weight in that one. Any other thoughts? We can have our thoughts to ourselves. Thank you. Demography is not a destination. And with that, I want to thank you all. I'm going to bring up rockstar producer Abigail Vega, who is going to give us some stuff.
So you guys have done a lot of really hard, beautiful work. We've heard your feedback from previous convenings, and we're giving you the night off. I just want you to all to take a moment together. Let's breathe together. Because a lot of really great work has happened. Those of you who are in identity can share out with some friends, maybe over dinner tonight. Same with leadership, same with aesthetics, because we all missed something, so we got to get caught up. So just a couple of things that I want to do before we go. First off, thank you to all of you who filled out the survey last night. I'm going to send it around, another one again tonight. Please do that. We hear you, and we're definitely like seeing your feedback, and we're trying to use it to make the convening better. So things like, oh my God, where's the water? Hear you. Second up, why is it so hot in this room? Got it. We are figuring. So those things are really helpful. If you don't have anything to say, you don't need to fill it out. Don't worry. But if you have something to say, please do it, because I want to use that to make it better. Okay, so tonight, where do we go from here? Some of you are going to have the night off. Some of you are going to go into your cafecito dinners that you signed up for. I'm going to ask that when we're done, you all head out into the art gallery and disperse among yourselves and not do that in here. On the ground team, I need you to stick around for like 5 minutes. We need to talk about something before we leave, okay? And then you're going to go on to see your shows. Who's seeing Alligator tonight? Whoa! Party people? Anybody going to Puerto Rican Traveling Theater? Okay, one, okay. Who else? What else is going, what else we have? I Like It Like That? Oh, that is Puerto Rican Traveling Theater. Okay, cool. Okay, and then tomorrow, starting at 10 a.m., you'll head into your 3 sessions. We've got Puerto Rican Traveling Theater, we've got INTAR, we've got Repertorio Español. Be there at 10. If you want coffee and pastries, be there at like 9:40. You cannot bring food into the theaters, into any of the theaters. You must eat it in the lobby, so, right? No, yeah, okay. So please come early to do that. After that, we're going to have either a break, excuse me, the ones that, give me 2 minutes, y'all, and then we can go, sorry. We're gonna either break into the optional conversation at the Lark, around translation of international work, or you can go see a show, or then we're going to come back here at 5 o'clock for a town hall. It's going to be amazing. There may be some surprises in store. You'll then go away for a dinner break or stay here for your dinner break, and then starting at 9 p.m. tomorrow is our Sábado Gigante late night party. Now, we are retaking the term Sábado Gigante. We're taking it back, okay? So we're so excited, you guys. The party is going to be here. It will not be as hot. Or maybe it'll be hotter. I don't know. But it's going to be really fun. We're going to have, many of you from New York know Flaco Navaja and the Razor Blades. They're going to be performing. We're also going to have our own convener, Marga Gomez, as our MC, comedian Marga Gomez. And we're going to have a couple of other performers here in New York perform. It's going to be really amazing. That's pretty much all I have, you guys. Thank you so much. I just want to also just take one moment before y'all leave to thank the On the Ground team. They did a fucking incredible job. So thank you. Awesome work. Okay, if you're gonna go to a cafecito, go outside. Oh, there's also, if you have not checked in yet, check in with me before you leave at the check-in table. But if you're gonna go to a cafecito, go outside. If you're an on-the-ground team person, stay here. Thank you all and have a wonderful night.